it's interesting because people have a sort of romantic sort of sensibility about the underworld and crime and all this sort of stuff, you know, and they kind of imagine that barbers might be involved in that world a little bit. So, you know, they quite like all of that stuff.
My name's Frank Reimer. I'm the owner here at ThyBarber in London.
I'm Paul. I work at a little shop in Harlem called Schorem.
I'm Paul Harmer. I'm manager here at ThyBarber.
My name is Wes Jones. I own a shop called the Heartbreak Club in Leigh-on-Sea in Essex.
Go on, Wes, you got a white shirt on.
Go on, Wes. You got a white shirt.
How'd you get your shirt so clean?
Who am I talking to?
Oh,
Tinder.
No, me and Wes met at the Pro Hair 2016 in Manchester. Touched penises, and no, it was yeah. Well, for me, because at the time I was discovering like Schorem and what they're about. Men. I was discovering real men, and no, and I saw the poster that they did, and I was a fan, so I drove up from Bristol, and Wes there from Essex, and we sort of like got to know each other through that. Whereas these guys, I sort of knew them at events, and we said hello, and we sort of knew the same people. And then I got stranded here in December, and they looked after me. They took me in, yeah.
It's quite difficult actually getting them in photo shoots to get them to stop fucking about most of the time, as I'm sure you've realised when you try to interview them. Yeah, brilliant.
It's a competition at taking the piss out of each other. Whoever gets the best one-liner of the day just normally puts
So
through.
far, Wes is losing.
Yeah.
Wes isn't that witty, I'm
What's the
afraid.
worst prank you've ever played on each other?
Oh, Stone.
Yeah, we'd probably be arrested because I don't think
I
they
put
would.
talcum powder in your hairdryer once.
Yeah, that was.
That was pretty good.
I think it's the dick slaps that you guys do.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a London thing or.
I got hit in the penis so hard that I had to go to the hospital because I thought I had a hernia.
His whole pubic region was bright purple.
Yeah, that wasn't cool. And then the doctor said, I don't know what's going on. So I left it and it's fine now, guys. It's all
Never
good.
had them walking past each other just going,
Yeah.
just a little tap, and it's all you can see going on in the shop every now and then.
Look at the
And you know it's happened because the hairdryer just turns off and
It's a brief moment of silence.
there's a brief moment.
That's why I'm sitting down like this.
Customer do when you
Piss himself laughing.
Some of them try to do it as well. But
We've got a lot of banter in our shop. I mean, our customers are like mates, aren't they? None of them are like. None of them seem like customers anymore. They all come in, so they actually. In fact, haven't you had a customer bag you?
yeah, I've had a customer have a little flick of it. Yeah.
This is the most homoerotic interview I've ever had, by the way.
So your customers pay you to get dick slapped?
Basically,
We're
yeah.
not dick slapping people. We're slapping people in the dick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And why?
Oh, and why?
And why?
Oh, and why?
Right, okay, so my favourite haircut right now is probably like a forward skin faded crop. Why? Because it's kind of bringing new ages of like punk into today's lifestyle, I suppose.
My favourite haircut is a long trim pompadour. It is so versatile and traditional.
Practical and alluring.
Exactly.
And my favourite haircut is the flat top because to me it's the base of all haircuts.
Damn.
No, my favourite haircut's the long trim pompadour because, again, like you said, it's very, very versatile. But for me, it shows all aspects of barbering. You've got clipper work involved, scissor work, a lot of blow drying technique, and very, very heavy styling. So for me, it's just got every aspect that we do in the shop in one single trim. That's why I like that one. Oh, I mean, I suppose the inspiration behind the haircuts is anything that's vintage. I mean, you can see by the way everyone dresses here.
Apart from Wales.
Apart from this guy.
Das White!
That's right.
Filling a
The only
void.
hipster in the room.
Filling a void right now.
No, I think it's the love of history. You know, like when you get into something, you really kind of you can't help but research into it. And for me, like I've always loved seeing anything from the early 1900s up to the early 60s. I mean, especially in Britain where we've got the forefront of fashion going, it's forever changing here, especially in this city. For me, it's just trying to find something that's never going to become dated. You know, as much as it's like nearly 100 years old, in fact some of these haircuts are over 100 years old, they'll never go out of fashion, and that's what makes them timeless. And for me, that's why I love them so much. You know, so I think that's where my passion behind it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's our wall of shame. I'm probably going to join the wall at one point, so I'm going to get ridiculed for growing my hair out being a barber. But yeah, that's all the hippie killers they're all the hippies that were killed on the wall. Flat top mullet.
Flat top mullet?
I really want to do a flat top mullet. I've done one once, and I want to do another one, but I wish they'd come back. Please come back.
It depends on how I feel. It depends on how I feel. It depends on the day.
You'd love to do a
white,
crop, but to the side.
That's the thing. I like doing stupid shit with hair because it's hair, it grows back. You know, it's fun. It's art. We should have some fun with it. So it depends how I feel. If someone comes in with long hair and they say do what you want, I'm probably gonna do them 3 haircuts because I'm gonna fuck around with it, take some cool pictures, and then get it to something that actually looks pretty.
No, for my one, it's the only one on the poster I haven't yet fully done. I almost did it the other day, flat top boogie.
I've done that.
I've never done it. I came close.
I'm a regular, that's it.
I've done every
Do you?
haircut.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
So
bollocks
what
to
you
you
need to
then.
introduce, we've introduced 2.
Go on then.
If they've got good hair for it and they're like, oh, I don't really know what I want.
Yeah.
All right, mate, it's get what you're given Tuesday. You sit down, you shut up, you get what you're given.
Oh,
Simple.
I like
We
it.
have done that.
It's simple.
Is it?
Yeah, we give it
Well, what
Tuesdays.
we've done is because the scumbag boogie is our most popular haircut, just because it's like bolded on the sides. We actually wrote on the poster in the shop, sold out. And we generally had a guy that was like, I wanted the scumbag, but so she sold out. I was like, Lau, of course Lau. He's like, oh, do you want me to have a look downstairs, see if we've got any more for you, mate?
Amazing.
I think it's all that we all sort of like the same sort of subculture of it all. We like the whole, you know, it's about having a bit of a giggle, but I think we, you know, for all of us, it's still all about the haircut.
Things we all come from that, like, punk lifestyle,
Yeah.
from being kids as well. We grew up listening to the similar music. I mean,
I was
you're a beachhead. You grew up in this beach town, didn't you? So you had that like
Yeah.
Gypsy vibe.
Yeah.
Whereas like, we just kind of grew up in like punk and like the rock and roll kind of side of things. So,
And Boyzone for
and
Wes.
Boyzone.
Boyzone, yeah.
So for us, it was like, I don't know. It's just the way we were when we were outside of school growing up. So we just
Yeah.
we haven't grown up. I don't think we should grow up. So you know, we bring that into our shops and the way we are as people day to day. So you know,
Yeah.
cutting hair in kitchens and like bleaching their hair and like dyeing it bright red and mohawking it with soap water, and that's the background we all come from. So you know, why stop doing that? I want to change that.
No.
And if I changed it, I'd miss it.
Yeah.
Right.
The idea of putting soap in your hair and then ironing your hair for a mohawk just seems a bit.
It fucked me.
Oh, well, should have used Dove, mate.
Oh no! God damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's where it all comes from.
Yeah, I think so.
And a lot of men just don't know how to wash their clothes. So when they go into Wes's shop, they know what products to use, they know how long to put it in for. It works out well.
And then I just love that Johnny Cash YouTube one though, where he does the Elvis impression and he ruffles his hair and he does like this. And then out of nowhere, a proper greaser grabs his like comb and like 30 seconds,
That's
perfect.
exactly where his hair goes.
Thank you very. Excuse me while I comb part of my hair. I was walking down the street today and a barber came out of a barber shop, said, "Hey, I'll give you an estimate." So
Mine was always Elvis, hence the name, the Heartbreak Club for my shop. it was I couldn't call the shop the Heartbreak Hotel. There's a few licensing issues with that, so I went with Club. But yeah, it was always about Elvis. I liked Elvis because women loved him. Like, whereas Johnny Cash.
And I want to like what women like.
Exactly. I liked them. But Johnny Cash was, I suppose, the darker side of things. Like, as much
He's a
as
really naughty boy.
When he got his hair cut into a flat top, he was going to be on.
As much as I love the rebellious nature of Johnny Cash and like his dark side, like Elvis was, I don't know, he brought that bit of light, that bit of fun to the party. And I think that was more for me when I was younger.
How about you, Frank?
it's hard for me because I've grown up listening to so many different things. Like my dad was he was born in the 40s, so he's always listened to rock and roll. So I've grown up listening to rock and roll vinyl since I was born. So it's so hard for me to pin down a favourite. But I was the rebellious one in my family who grew up wanting to listen to punk, heavy metal, and all these like horrible sounding like music to my parents, and
Distorted guitars.
yeah, but it's realistically the stuff that I hated as a child was these 3-chord rock and roll things, which I thought was so basic that a monkey could play it. Now I turn around to it and go, that's the basic of all music that's ever been done since the 50s. Yeah, I play guitar.
We all are.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is at some point, don't they?
He plays the triangle, the back end team.
Pikeys can't afford nice things.
So for me, but I've always grown up listening to everything. So I've listened to blues, classical music, country music, like rock and roll, heavy metal, punk, all these things. But they all come from the same background. So I can't really say who's my favourite artist, really. Because one minute I'll be listening to Andrew Bocelli with my dad, and the next thing I'll be putting Pantera on. So
We did that actually.
we did that.
We
yeah.
did. Hello.
I'm working my leg back.
Can you sit
Oh
back
my
down now?
god. Yeah,
Do I have to?
Yeah.
Women react when you cut their boyfriend's hair off. You ever get these?
A lot of them flirt with me. They don't.
Obviously.
Only has to sex them often.
Yeah, I have to tell them to sit down.
Put a towel down first.
Don't ruin the upholstery. Clean up.
No, normally it's, well, they tell us they look great, but when they leave the shop, they probably say their arseholes don't go back there.
Well, this is why I
No.
love the fact that girls can't come in where I work, because
Yeah,
then
true.
girls will say, right here, he's having this, and then it's like, mate, do you tell her what to have? And it's like, no. It's like, well, no, mate, you sit down and
Yeah.
we'll do you.
So
We'll do you.
We've got a thing in our shop where, like, we can't not allow women into the shop.
No.
Because we're in a restaurant bar where it's all open. And
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't want to do that anyway.
No.
But if a girl or a girlfriend or a wife tries to get involved in a man's consultation, we tell them to sit down, because. Well, it's not. A man wouldn't do that to a woman
in the
in a
nicest,
hairdresser's.
in the nicest possible
No,
way,
in the
though.
nicest
It's not
possible
like,
way.
sit,
Yeah,
but there's none of that.
It's basically, unless he's 12 or under, what is the point in you getting involved in this consultation? Because
He's a grown-ass man.
No.
He pays taxes.
He's a grown man. He pays his taxes. Like, he works 9 to 5. I'm sure he can decide if he wants a 3 or a 1.
We have a thing in our shop, we say no pay, no say.
Oh yeah.
Unless she's paying, she ain't fucking saying. Right.
Unless she's paying, she ain't saying.
You heard that somewhere before, though. haven't you?
I think what's going on with the world at the moment, I think, is actually quite upsetting, because people can't be themselves. Everyone's scared to say what they want to say, and don't get me wrong, I'm all about being PC. But if you're having a joke with someone, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't hold back from being yourself, because the moment you start trapping that inside you, you can become depressed. And that's what the barbershop brings the best out in people. It really does. I had a guy in the other day who's worked in media, and you could tell he's not normally this very outspoken person. Probably someone that might get teased. He might get teased in the office. The moment he sat in this chair, he became himself. He became a lot louder by 35 minutes into him being here. He had a couple of whiskeys, and he was so grateful that he was just in the shop and could be himself for that short amount of time, that when he walks back out there into normal life, he probably walks down with his head up, like down the street with his head really, really high, feeling that he looks great, and just feeling good about himself in general. And that's the beauty of this place. It's not the haircut. Barbering's not all about haircutting. It's about a personal relationship between a man and his customer, or a man and his barber. And that relationship they have, I think, is a huge privilege for both human beings.
I think what it is.
I mean, it's different for everyone,
Well,
isn't it?
the reason it's coming back is, again, what we're coming back to about everyone's liking old-fashioned stuff again, because back in the day when it was done properly, it was made to last.
Yeah.
Everything was made to last. Cars, they had no electrics in them. It was just pure mechanics. That's why the 50s cars and the 40s cars are still running today in America. We don't have them as much over here, but they are. There's nothing that's over complex. People are making like hand making tailored suits again. People are baking their own bread, making their own candles, and this all goes back to people doing their own thing. Everyone's buying fish at the fit like the mongers. Everyone's going back to the bakers, and these are all things that I think have been lost.
It's traditions that are coming around,
and they're coming back because people like quality, and I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of other people now. Is the fact that we're really, jokes aside, we're really immature when we get together, but when you watch these guys cut hair, it's focus. And the passion comes out, and like I'm just going to get real for a minute. Like you guys are some of the best barbers I've ever seen, and you can see that when they work, that they love doing what they do, and that's what.
Like you're saying about the movement, I think now, with the resurgence of it all, obviously when we all started, let's say 10, 15, whatever years ago, like there wasn't social media 50 years ago, there wasn't social media stuff, and now I think that's been a massive part of why it's such a boom now, because people want to show off what they can do. Like before, it weren't, I don't want to say it was a job, but you done it because you needed to put food on the table and you needed to give your patrons a haircut. Like now it is slowly getting to the point where it's like, right, I want to show the world what I can do.
So Bike Shed, where we are now, run a show every year in Tobacco Dock in London where they show lots of custom motorbikes. And I went there to look for a new series of paintings, really, just featuring a load of bikers and custom bikes and things like that. And I was shooting around and I didn't really see anything interesting, but ThyBarber had a little concession there and they were like cutting people's hair. And as you can tell, I haven't been to a barber in many years, so I didn't really know that there was this whole sort of movement of these barbers, and they're very sort of unique look. And I saw Paulie first of all, and I just went up to him and I said, "Is it all right if I take a few reference shots? I want to try and make a few studies and things like that." So he was like, "Yeah, go ahead." So I photographed Paulie and Frank, and didn't really think anything of it. Just thought it was interesting. Went home. Did a few sort of oil studies in the studio, whacked them on Instagram, didn't think anything of it. I was working on a load of other stuff. And suddenly it just like, people started contacting me, they really hit big on Instagram. And so, other barbers, yeah, and people who follow them because they have large sort of social media, followings. So from there, I came in here and I said, "Look, lads, why don't we do a few more paintings? And can you introduce me to some more guys that are like you?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And they were so supportive. They were really into what I was doing, and it was really interesting to me to have like these young guys into my sort of old school Renaissance style art. Because I paint in oils, I paint in very sort of sort of Renaissance style, and they were so into it. And then all these other barbers were into it. So I started painting all these other guys. And then before long, I had enough to have a sort of a small show, and I invited all the barbers to the show. We had it just around the corner here in a basement in East London, and all the paintings sold. So it was like, I think about 18 paintings. They all sold, and it was just really successful. And I really enjoyed doing it. And the people are just so creative. They're so inspiring themselves. I think really it was the level of passion that they have for their work. They do mess about and everything, but they are deeply serious about what they do, and they are artists in their own right. They really are, and they do it day in, day out, and they're really incredible at what they do, and really work hard at being very good at what they do, and that is really inspiring. And I didn't realise that at all. I thought it was cutting hair, and it isn't. It's so much more.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Take two.
We are